What's something most people don't know? Fact 1. Flirting. I don't know how to flirt. Nobody flirts with me. I don't flirt. What even is flirting? It's a myth. Flirting is just a belief the government pushes to raise taxes. Yeah, I'm super lonely. Fact 2. Your cat is training you. Cats don't meow to communicate with each other, but with humans. They developed meowing specifically to interact with us. Adult cats rarely meow to each other, using body language, guttural sounds, or hisses instead. Meows are mostly for their kittens, but when we domesticated them, they learned that sound gets our attention, so they adapted it. Studies even suggest meow tones change based on the owner's reaction, almost like they're emotionally training us. Some cats mimic a human baby's cry to get food. It's fascinating and a bit unsettling to think we didn't just domesticate animals. They learned to manipulate us emotionally with great success. So yeah, when your cat talks to you, it's not habit. It's because they know that sound pushes your invisible button. Fact 3. I tried selling a computer monitor on Facebook Marketplace, and so many people thought it was a full computer, like they didn't get that you need an input to see anything on the screen. The photos clearly showed just the monitor, and the description was explicit. One guy asked me to show the screen powered on, and I told him it needed to be connected to a power source to light up. Then he asked if it had an operating system. Fact 4. Human anatomy. You'd think most people know the basics, but surveys consistently show they don't. For example, many men, and a surprising number of women, can't correctly label simple diagrams of the female reproductive system. This is basic stuff. I swear the world gets dumber every day. Fact 5. A shocking number of today's young people know nothing about computers. You'd think they'd be wizards with them, but many are used to phones. Back in the day, my millennial friends were always on computers, learning tricks for our sketchy download sites, playing video games, and fixing PC issues. Teens now don't need to do that as much since phones handle most things. I don't blame them for keeping up, but some struggle with basics like formatting in Word. Fact 6. What you see on the news is what the world's most powerful people want you to see. It's not necessarily fake, but it's what they choose to show because the narrative matters more than anything else if they want to keep things as they are or change them to fit their goals. Fact 7. Starting a campfire is super easy and could save your life in the wilderness. Tip: there are tons of dry twigs at the base of pine trees. Rub them a bit and mix with birch bark. Just light a match and the fire's going. Stay warm. Learn something from Minecraft. Fact 8. Basic car and truck maintenance. You don't need to know how to rebuild an engine, just how to check and maintain fluids, keep filters clean, change wiper blades, and ensure your tires have enough air to run smoothly and save money. You'll save even more if you learn to change fluids and filters yourself. Fact 9. You don't catch a cold from being cold or wet. Colds are caused by viruses. People get sick more often in winter because they gather indoors, where poor air circulation creates a perfect environment for viruses to spread. Fact 10. If you haven't cooked fish in a while and your house or apartment smells fishy, you might have electrical issues, like wires hot enough to melt their insulation. Source: this happened in my house earlier this year. Fact 11. Your parents are wounded people too. We grow up seeing them as solid, unbreakable figures, expecting explanations, apologies, or perfection. And yeah, they mess up, sometimes a lot. But what we don't know or don't want to know is that they were once broken kids, makeshift adults, scared people doing their best with what they had. It took me years to understand why my mom was so controlling, so scared. I thought it was because she didn't trust me. Then I learned she grew up in a house where she couldn't decide anything, where every mistake meant punishment. She was repeating that pattern without meaning to. It doesn't justify everything, but it explains it. Seeing your parents as human opens a space for understanding, even if reconciliation doesn't happen. Fact 12. Pouring water on a grease fire makes it way worse before it gets better. In every fire drill, lab safety training, or public firefighter event I've seen, they show what happens when you pour water on an oil fire. And every time half the crowd is shocked at how much worse it gets. Fact 13. We were all young once. I work in a nursing home and usually get along best with the residents. People ask how I do it, and it's simple. I treat them like people. They weren't always old and sick. They had parents, went to school, fought, got drunk, flirted, etc. Everything people do today they did back then. Technology's a bit different, but it's just a tool for the same things people have done for generations. Fact 14. Antibiotics don't work against viruses. My mom was recently diagnosed with cancer for the second time and started taking dog dewormer and antibiotics because she read cancer is like a parasite, so this would kill it. She refused some treatments until we understood how serious it was. I love her so much, and whoever made her believe this should get off the internet and realize the harm they're causing. Fact 15. Cryptocurrency as an investment is essentially a Ponzi scheme. Crypto doesn't generate value. The only way to profit is by selling it to someone who pays more, believing it'll go higher. That model requires constant growth, which is mathematically impossible. It might seem similar to stocks, but it's not. Stocks represent real fractional ownership in a company that should generate revenue and pay dividends. Crypto lacks that dynamic. Fact 16. Most people don't know how to study. As an English teacher, I saw this a lot. Ask yourself, did anyone in school ever explain what memory is for, how it works, how long you need to practice, or how many times? Usually, no one teaches you about memory types, how to train it, or how to manage daily study time, make flashcards, or, most importantly, use them correctly. Yes, there's a wrong way to use flashcards. Even basic stuff like managing a vocabulary notebook or validating information properly is a struggle. Understanding the importance of tasks and study consistency is another issue. In my experience, 90% of my adult students struggle with this. Fact 17. Cooking skills. Not just tossing a frozen pizza in the oven or microwaving something. Knowing how to work with vegetables, meat, kitchen appliances, and tools to cook a proper meal is a basic, important skill. I'm shocked by how many stories I read of people relying on others to cook for them because they lack the skill or haven't developed it. Fact 18. The value of time, not just money. I grew up poor and am still lower middle class. When I need something, my first instinct is to check thrift stores, which is also more eco-friendly. It took me a long time to realize it's often better to buy an item, even if it's pricier, than spend hours trying to save by searching secondhand. Same with tools. You can waste hours using the wrong tool instead of spending a few bucks on the right one. Fact 19. Most people don't know you can be deeply depressed and still function perfectly, going to work, completing tasks, laughing in meetings, even giving advice. Nobody looks twice because you don't fit their image of suffering. I learned this when a coworker, the nicest guy who made everyone laugh, took his own life. No one saw it coming. No obvious signs. He had a partner, a job, plans. But inside he was exhausted, and nobody noticed because he never said it. We found out later he'd been struggling for years, but he got so good at hiding it, even his parents didn't see it. We can't save everyone, but we can stop assuming silence means everything's fine. Fact 20. The Earth has been warming and cooling for hundreds of millions of years, going through ice ages and warm periods. It self-regulates. Global warming is real, but it's a natural process. We're just speeding it up at a rate faster than it would naturally occur. Fact 21. Poor sleep for just a few nights in a row can affect memory, mood, and even your perception of reality, similar to being drunk. Sleeping 4 or 5 hours a night for a week has cognitive effects equivalent to a blood alcohol level of 0.1, above the legal driving limit in many countries. Worse, your brain adapts to that state so you feel like you're functioning fine when you're performing worse and making more mistakes. Sleep isn't just rest. It affects emotional regulation, memory consolidation, metabolism, and immunity. Chronic sleep deprivation doesn't make you tougher or more productive, just clumsier and more prone to illness, even if your body doesn't bill you for it right away. Fact 22. Medicine isn't magic. It contains substances that target specific conditions. Taking medication when you don't need it is pointless and dangerous. Also, chemicals, aren't synonymous with harm. Many harmless things like water are chemicals and you can't live without them. Fact 23. Car tires expire. Not just wearing out over time, like milk, they have an expiration date. Used or unused, inflated or stored, rubber ages, dries out, cracks and degrades. So, even if there's tread left, your tires might be unsafe. Also, when things break, they often damage other parts on the way out. Preventive maintenance is your friend. Fact 24. Microwaves don't heat food from the inside out as many believe. They agitate water molecules in the outer layers, creating friction that generates heat. That's why dense or low-moisture foods like bread or thick meat often heat unevenly, hot outside, cold inside. Microwaves only penetrate a few centimeters, and heat transfers inward by conduction. Also, the myth that microwaves destroy nutrients is widespread but wrong. In many cases, microwaving preserves more nutrients than boiling because it uses less water and time. Fact 25. For someone with a sedentary lifestyle, short, gentle walks a few times a week can bring significant health benefits and are more sustainable for many than jumping into intense gym routines. The no pain, no gain mantra discourages people from starting, thinking they need to suffer for results. In reality, basic endurance training feels like a gentle, endless warm-up regardless of fitness level. Your fitness just determines your pace. For many today, that pace is basically walking. It boosts fat metabolism, muscle endurance, capillary growth, recovery capacity, and lowers resting heart rate and blood pressure. Fact 26. Bananas as we know them aren't natural. The variety in supermarkets is a clone, grown from genetically identical plants via cuttings, not seeds. This means a single plague could wipe them out, as happened in the 1950s when a different banana variety was standard but destroyed by a fungus. The craziest part? We're so used to this banana that many don't know it's not the tastiest or most nutritious, just the most resistant for now. Fact 27. Most sugar-free or light products aren't necessarily healthier. Many contain artificial sweeteners like aspartame or sucralose, which, while approved, have conflicting studies on their impact on gut microbiota, appetite, or insulin resistance. Light products aren't always low-calorie, just 30% less than the regular version, which isn't always significant. A light yogurt might still have 100 calories and tons of additives. There's little regulation on marketing terms like zero sugar, which can still include carbs that spike blood sugar. Reading labels and understanding what you're eating should be taught in school, but almost no one does it. Fact 28. The maps we use are distorted. The classic Mercator world map from school massively enlarges northern countries like Europe, the US, or Russia while shrinking southern regions like Africa or South America. Greenland looks nearly as big as Africa, but Africa is 14 times larger. This projection was made for maritime navigation, not accurate size representation. The problem is it's used in schools and media, creating a distorted global perception. Southern countries seem less significant just because they look smaller. More accurate projections exist but aren't used as much because they're visually messier. These details shape how we think about the world without us noticing. Fact 29. Hanging wet clothes indoors without ventilation can harm your health. It seems trivial, especially in winter or with limited space, but drying clothes releases moisture, increasing humidity and encouraging mold and dust mites. Breathing that damp air regularly can worsen allergies, cause chronic coughing, or trigger respiratory issues, especially in kids or asthmatics. I learned this when I noticed a weird smell in my room despite everything being clean. It was humidity from indoor drying. Now I open windows for a few minutes or run a fan to circulate air. A dehumidifier helps too if you have one. It's something no one teaches you, but once you know, you don't ignore it. Fact 30. Kitchen sponges are one of the dirtiest household items, filthier than toilets. Studies confirm their constant moisture, food residue, and room temperature make them perfect breeding grounds for bacteria. Many people use them for weeks without replacing them, wiping surfaces and thinking they're cleaning. You should swap them out every 7 days if used daily. Fact 31. Using antibacterial products all over your home to keep it germ-free is harmful. Keep things clean and you'll be fine. Our bodies are built to handle small, moderate germ exposure. The tiny percentage of bacteria surviving antibacterial products are stronger. When they reproduce, the next generation is more likely to survive. Repeat this 500 times and you've got small amounts of tough, antibiotic-resistant bacteria, unlike normal levels of regular bacteria. Just keep things clean, that's enough. Fact 32. Washing your hands with warm water instead of cold doesn't matter. If you know any microbiology, you'd know a slight temperature difference doesn't kill bacteria. It's not something people need to know, but I wish they'd stop telling me to use warm water. Fact 33. Dogs can detect diseases like cancer, diabetes, or seizures before they happen. It's not magic or superstition. Their sense of smell is far more precise than ours. They can detect tiny chemical changes, like volatile compounds from tumors or shifts in breath or sweat from low blood sugar. Trained dogs alert diabetic owners before dangerous blood sugar drops, and some predict seizures before they occur. Others do it instinctively because of their bond. Imagine nearly fainting and your dog starts barking or nudging you. It's not crazy, it knows something you don't yet.